Wales, Cymru, in Welsh, like I just said, is a mountainous country on the western side of Great Britain and is bordered by England to the east, the Bristol Channel to the south, St George's Channel in the west, and the Irish Sea to the north. Wales is one of 4 parts of the United Kingdom, along with England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Technically, Wales is a principality. This means that it is ruled by a prince. This guy, Prince Charles. Traditionally, the Prince of Wales, hello, is the eldest son of the English monarch. So, traditions and history of Wales. Mother Nature shaped Wales as a country full of visual drama and splendour. Then human beings added a million stories of druids, castles and conflict, of industry and innovation. This is a country steeped in history with a vibrant 21st century culture, and there's nowhere else in the world quite like it. Now, the story of Wales is long and at times really confusing, and this would go a long way towards explaining why the emblems of Wales include a dragon, a vegetable, a spoon, and a funny shaped ball. Just to give you a little bit of understanding of my country, I found a video on YouTube which I think you should see. So let's do the magic click of the fingers.
Taff is a river. It is not my name. And no, I am not a coal miner or a shepherd. I never went to school with Anthony Hopkins or Tom Jones, and I never dated Catherine Zeta-Jones, though that would have been an affair to remember. I speak Welsh and English, and I can proudly say in 2 languages that Wales is forever. My country's flag is a dragon standing ready to fight. And when David Williams, the Welsh-Canadian astronaut, took our flag to the moon, he also took a rugby cap, because we are rugby nation. Welsh people have contributed more to this world than any other country its size. In America, 20% of the founding fathers, 50% of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and many of the presidents all came from Welsh parents.
But there's a little bit of history to it, which I'd like to explain to you. It took until 1959 for the Welsh national flag to be officially unfurled for the first time. The significance of the dragon in Welsh culture is believed to date back to Arthurian legend, when Merlin had a vision of a red dragon, which represented native Britons, fighting a white dragon, which were the Saxon invaders. The use of green and white referred to the colours of the House of Tudor, the 15th century royal family of Welsh origin. The red dragon won the battle, just in case you were wondering. But there is a downside to having such a Hispaniala flag. As you can see, it is really difficult for children to draw. Bendigedig, the Welsh language. The native language of Wales is spoken by 750,000 people, most in Wales, but also in England, the USA, Canada and Argentina. There are few Welsh-only speakers, and traditionally, Welsh has been the language of rural Wales, but it is increasingly popular within urban populations. Bilingual road signs and the Welsh language television channel S4C are just a couple of examples of the language in common use you're sure to see on your visit there. It is a difficult language. I didn't learn it at school because I grew up on a border town called Monmouth, which was a border between England and Wales, and they didn't teach it in school. So as I become more of an adult, I think, I started to pick up some phrases when I moved to Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales. Some of the phrases that I know in Welsh are like bore da, which is like good morning, nos da, which means good night, bendigedig, which means fantastic. What was the other one? Joch and vow, thank you very much. So yeah, I do know a little bit of Welsh, but it is a very tricky language. which leads me to the next video, which is the longest name in Britain. Check this out.
From Carnarvon, it's a short hop across the Menai Straits to the Isle of Anglesey. And the first place you come to as you cross the Menai Bridge is a famous little village, which I'll let someone else introduce.
Croeso I Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll go ger y chwyndropwy Llantysilio Gogogoch. Now then, that means welcome to Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll go ger y chwyndropwy Llantysilio Gogogoch. This is the longest place name in Europe, and it translates as St Mary's Church in the hollow of White Hazel near a rapid whirlpool, and the Church of Santa Cilio near the Red Cave. We also have platform tickets and a passport stamp for visitors or anybody else who wants it.
That was tourist hostess Anne Thomas, who greets visitors in full Welsh traditional costume. The island of Anglesey, known since the earliest times as the Mother of Wales because of its fertility, boasts some of Britain's finest beaches and a wealth of historic and prehistoric monuments. According to Roman historians, it was the headquarters of the Druids, the spiritual leaders of the ancient Britons, until the Romans massacred them in the 1st century.
The Union flag, the Union Jack. The sheep population in Wales is 4 times greater than the Welsh population of humans. Rugby union, rugby. We love rugby. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this cultural, educational video of Wales. There are plenty of other things which you could look into yourself. I've missed them out because they kind of, largely because they're not really relevant to me. I mean, we've missed out male choir, the Brecon Beacons, which is like the 7 wonders of Wales. It is an absolutely beautiful country. I grew up there, feel a little bit like a hobbit because of the landscape and the countryside, which is interesting because the Welsh language kind of inspired Tolkien to write his kind of Middle-earth language for the elves and all that mythology. I could have spoken a little bit about the Celtic connection, but Vigo Glovac, you have computers, you live in the 21st century, look at it yourself. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and again, I'm sorry I can't be there. I hope you all have a lovely day and enjoy the next speech about the UK, which I believe is the lovely Trev. Lovely Trev. Trev. How could I forget? Trev. Good luck and take care. Bye-bye. Hello, people of Olsztyn.
I should tell you a little story about the Welsh language. Darren showed in his film that they have English and Welsh signs. And somebody wanted to have their road sign in Welsh. And they wanted to say, no tiers, no trucks down this road. Okay, so no tiers down this road. Nie ma tirów tutaj. So they emailed a translator, and they said, we would like, in Welsh, no tiers in this road. So, email Brucic, and something po walisku, something in Welsh. And they said, oh, great. So they put it on the sign. And somebody said, do you know what that sign says? And they said, yes, it's Welsh for no tiers on this road. And they said, no. The English says, no tiers on the road. The Welsh says, sorry, I am not in the office at the moment. I will translate later. Really, true story. Okay. So, as we can see, we're over here in Wales. I was actually born down here. My father was from up in the past the wall. Yeah? And my mother is from here in the northeast. So, as you can see, it's above Yorkshire, intellectually and geographically. we jump over here, we find a map of the northeast. So we have areas like Darlington, County Durham, and we have Sunderland, Gateshead and Newcastle. This is like a little Troy Miasto. My mother was born somewhere around here, a place called Tynemouth. And then we have Northumberland. So the name Northumberland comes from the Humber River, which is somewhere down here. So everything is north of the Humber. And then here we have the border of Scotland. Okay, as you can see on this one here. Okay, next picture please. And it's very famous for this bridge, which, as some of you may notice, the Australians copied. Really, really. So this is the Tyne Bridge. The river is the Tyne. And Newcastle is one of the best bridging points. It has about 6 or 7 different bridges just at this point of the city. There's the swing bridge, which swings when the ships come. There's a railway bridge here and several other bridges. The most modern bridge is this one, which actually tilts when the ship comes along and then goes back into place. And this is in front of this bridge. This is an old picture. So it's a very thriving city. Historically, it's been a very active city, played a big role in the history of England. And now all along here are clubs and offices and it goes up and down like that. And the reason for this is that the accent and the dialect come from Scandinavia. Okay? The Vikings settled around here, so the accent and the dialect is based in Scandinavian. And some of the words are still found in things like Danish and Norwegian. So, everybody, the first word, hawe. Hawe. Okay, so let's try it. Hawe. Hawe. Good. Any ideas?
How are you?
Yes, good. Very good. It means 2 things. It means away, like hawe, go away. But it also means how are you? So, hawe. Now, the next one. Hinny. Hinny. So we can say, how are you, Hinny? Okay, try it again. How are you, Hinny? Good. And Hinny, it means like honey. You know in the films, hi, honey. It's something like this. And you can say it to men or women, if you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter. So, let's practice it here. We can say, how are you, Hinny?
How are you, Hinny?
Good. So that's, hello, love, how are you? Now the other phrase is, how are the lads? Try that, how are the lads?
How are the lads?
Good, you've just cheered for Newcastle United Football Club. That's what they shout for them. Okay, the next word is gan and ganin. Any ideas? Good, yes. So if you think in German, gehen, so we have the same here, gan, ganin. So, we can say, who's at ganin? Right. So, how is it going? How's life? How's it going? So let's try this together. How are you, Hinny? Who's at ganin? Right. Good. I think I'll use this one. There's 2 different styles of playing and I can never remember which one I play it on. So the keelmen were people who worked along the River Tyne on boats. When I showed you the picture of the bridge, this is one of the areas where the keelmen worked. And you could always tell the keelmen because they had these hats, they had these blue jackets, and they were very tough men. They were usually drinking quite a lot. working very hard work. And the next picture, please. Okay, thank you. And this was what they did. They rowed boats with things like coal, iron, lots of different cargoes, and they were very strong. They had a lot of power, and in about the 18th century, I think it was, they actually started a hospital for old keel men or for sick. One of the agreements was that they could have it, but all the money had to be held by their bosses, because the bosses didn't want them going on strike or things like this. And it's called the keel row. So as you can see here, this is the keel row, rowing along here, and it's about the girl who is singing about her love the keel man. As I came to Sandgate, to Sandgate, to Sandgate, as I came to Sandgate, I heard a lassie sing. As I came to Sandgate, to Sandgate, to Sandgate, as I came to Sandgate, I heard a lassie sing. Well, may the keel row, the keel row, the keel row. Well, may the keel row that my laddie's in. Well, may the keel row, the keel row, the keel row. Well, may the keel row that my laddie's in. Was like my Johnny, so Lisa blight so bonny. Well, he's foremost of the morning keel lads on the coaly tide. Was like my Johnny, so Lisa blight so bonny. He's foremost of the morning keel lads on the coaly tide. Well, may the keel row, the keel row, the keel row. Well, may the keel row that my lad. He wears a blue bonnet, blue bonnet, blue bonnet. He wears a blue bonnet and a dimple on his chin. Well, may the keel row, the keel row, the keel row. Well, may the keel row that my lad is in. Well, may the keel row, the keel row, the keel row. Well, may the keel row that my lad is in. So the keelmen were very, very important within the Newcastle industry, and a lot of the songs from that time actually mention the keel and the keel rows. If you can have the next slide, please. Okay, one of the songs we're going to sing is about a girl called Cushy Butterfield. This is her name. And Cushy was apparently a real person, and the song is by a singer called Geordie Wilson. No, sorry, Geordie Ridley. Geordie Ridley. Everyone's called Geordie in this one. So Geordie Ridley was a small guy. He was quite small. He had bow-legged, and I think he'd been a miner or something like this. But he wrote lots of songs based on his life around him. And in the song about Cushy Butterfield is a lady who sells yellow clay down on the side of the river. Yellow clay seems a strange thing to sell, but the yellow clay was for painting the doorsteps. And she likes her beer, can't hear you. And they call her Cushy Butterfield, and I wish she was here. This is what Geordie Ridley would have done in his music hall. He would have sang it, and the audience would have sung it with him. So you're getting the genuine experience. In the second verse, there's a line about her bruise in the morning would spain a young coo. It means her breath would knock out a cow. And Geordie wonders why her boyfriend didn't like him. I'm a broken-hearted keelman, and I'm o'erhead in love with a young lass from Gateshead, and I call her me dove. Her name is Cushy Butterfield, and she sells yellow clay. And her cousin is a muckman, and they call him Tom Gray. Are you ready? She's a big lass and a bonny lass, and she likes her beer. And they call her Cushy Butterfield, and I wish she was here. Oh, her eyes are like two holes in a blanket burned through, and a bruise in the morning would spear a young coo. That's the bad bit. And when I hear her calling, will you buy any clay? Like the candy steals me young heart away. She's a big lass and a bonny lass, and she likes her beer. And they call her Cushy Butterfield, and I wish she was here. There's a place called North Shields, and on the south side of the river there's a place called South Shields. Good. And as you can see here, there's two lighthouses along piers, and there's a castle. And I believe there used to be armaments here during the Second World War, like big guns and things like this. And my father was actually taking these down while he was in the army after the war. And I believe it was there where he met my mother. Sweet. And there's lots of beaches here as well. So, like when I go up to Troymiasto and people go, "Oh, there's beaches here," I go, As you can see here, there are beaches all the way around here with nobody on them. So this is Tynemouth, nice little town. If you look on the internet and you look for Tynemouth or North Shields, old films, you can actually find old films of them having swimming races, or on the fish quay where the fishermen used to come in. They have old films from the 19th century of black and white ships and things like that. My grandfather was a sailor, he was a merchant fisherman. His father was a fisherman from this area. And at the back of here is, I believe, the first Coast Guard station in the world. And it's a little wooden building, and it was where they used to do sea rescues from there. This place, Berwick-upon-Tweed, it's one of the most northern towns in England. And actually, it's kind of disputed territory because it was always moving between England and Scotland. And even now, I don't think it's technically part of England. I think England controls it, but I think Scotland kind of let them have it. I'm not quite sure. And there's an old story about Berwick-upon-Tweed that when the Crimea War, where Britain was fighting against Russia, England and Scotland have different laws. So England signed the war declaration against Russia, and Scotland signed the war declaration against Russia. But Berwick-upon-Tweed didn't know if it was in Scotland or in England. So it signed the war declaration separately. The problem was, after the Crimea War, everybody forgot about this. And it wasn't until around 1968 someone said, maybe we should make peace with Russia. And the story was, brown ale from Newcastle. It was invented in the 1920s by a gentleman whose name I forget. But Blue Star was the name of the brewery, so they've kept that. And ale is a kind of beer, as you guess. And the way you should drink it is in a half glass and keep topping it up, because it's quite frothy. Also drink it cold. I do believe Stara Bravarnia occasionally has it. I think I've seen it in there. Okay, next picture please. Okay, now we're up in Northumberland. Well, the provost saying doctor was walking her way. Oh, but her love, it was easy won. When she spied a Scots prisoner marking his name. I and she was the flower of Northumberland. And it's oh, see the lassie that would marry me. Oh, but her love, it was easy won. I would make her a lady of such high degree. And she was the flower of Northumberland. she's gonna down to her father's good stocks. Oh, but her love, it was easy won, and she's stolen the key to many a brave lock, for to free him from his prison so strong. Then she's gonna down to her father's good stable. Oh, but her love, it was easy won, and she's stolen a horse that was both sweet and able, for to carry them back to bonny Scotland. This drum is called a boron. It's probably more well known through Irish music, but it's very widespread in Scottish music as well. And the word boron probably comes from the word, the Gaelic word to deafen, because it's quite loud. Or it might just be another version of tambourine. And I can change the sound a bit by moving my hand up and down here. Okay, so this is a song written by Robert Burns, the Scottish national poet. And Burns used to collect old songs and rework them. And this song is called Macpherson's Rant. And Macpherson was a highwayman, kind of like Januszek. But he, when he got captured, he was going to get hanged, and he played a tune on his fiddle, on his violin, smashed it and threw it into the grave. And the story is that the nasty sheriff changed the time on the clock so that he got hanged earlier than he should have done. But this is Macpherson's Rant. Oh, farewell, ye dungeons, dark and strong, the wretch's destiny. Macpherson's time will not be long, all on the gallows tree. Say rantonly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly gaiety. He played a tune and he danced a rune, all on the gallows tree. It was by a woman's treacherous hand I was condemned to die. She stood upon a window ledge and a blanket clung over me. Say rantonly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly gaiety. He played a tune and he danced a rune, all on the gallows tree. Oh, well, what is death but parting breath on many's a bloody plain? I scorned his face, and now in this place I'll scorn him once again. Say rantonly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly gaiety. He played a tune and he danced a rune, all on the gallows tree. So tap these bands fray around my hands and give to me my sword. There's not a man in all Scotland but I'll brave him at a word. Say rantonly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly gaiety. He played a tune and he danced a rune, all on the gallows tree. Oh, well, farewell night, ye parting light, and all beneath the sky. Let coward shame disdain the name of the wretch who dare not die. Say rantonly, say wantonly, and say